much, I know in one of my previous videos I talked about the idea of finding the space in between timelines, like the point where your timelines connect, and like that being the trick to not having to choose between different timelines is like finding the area that like both those timelines intersect. But I thought I would like try to explain it more visually. So this is your world, this is you, and this is your world of possibility. So let's say there's timelines, let's say there's timeline A, B, C, D, and E, okay? And let's say each of these timelines is will take you somewhere. Let's say timeline A, you're going to be like a business person. Let's say timeline A, you will like create your own business, become a CEO or something. Timeline B, you're an artist. You are a painter or a sculptor or like someone who makes video content or whatever. So let's say timeline 3, you're like maybe like, I don't know, medical professional. Timeline D, you're like a teacher. Timeline E, you have like a family, or you want to have a family and like devote your life to your kids or something. Sometimes you look at all these different possibilities and you're like, man, like I don't know what I want. I kind of want to like make art, and I want to feel secure and like have a business, and I kind of really want a family too. Like, why do I feel like I only have so much time in a day and I kind of have to decide between them? And why do I feel like I have to sacrifice one in order to get the other? And I feel like this particularly applies to people who are like, it's like, you know, those people who don't have like one thing that they say, this is my skill, or this is the thing that I love to do. It's more like, I kind of feel like I'm a bit of everything and nothing. Like I kind of feel like I'm this, but I'm also that, but I could be this. Like I don't really know like where I would put myself in a box, because I don't feel like I belong to a box, but I feel like I have to choose, because like society's like conditioned me to feel like I have to choose a route in order to progress in it. So this is like a circumstance, okay? I don't know how high I have to like hold this in order for it to show on the camera, so I hope you're seeing this, guys. I really do. So this is you, okay? And let's say you have 1 hour, okay? And you have 2 friends that you haven't seen in a really long time, and you said you were going to see them. You said you were going to make time for them. And you have 1 hour. Like if you were to go to person A's house, you probably wouldn't have enough time to go see person B. Or if you were to go see person B's house, you probably wouldn't have enough time to go see person A. So you're kind of sitting there and you're like, man, like what do I do? Like I have to choose, but I don't really want to choose. Like I kind of don't want to feel like I have to sacrifice one person for the next. So it's like, what do you do in this situation? You look at person A and you look at person B, and you're like, what is the point that these 2 people have in common? So let's say person A is like big into sports. Like normally when you hang out, let's say you watch like, I don't know, football together or something, like TV. And let's say person B is like a foodie, like you normally go out, you like go out to restaurants together, you get like some dinner or something, you catch up over some chats. So you're like, okay, what is the common space that both person A and person B can meet me in? So let's say there was like a space. It could be like a person's house, it could be like a restaurant, a bar, a lounge, a movie theater, like whatever works. But let's say in this case scenario, person A, big into like watching TV, and there's a football game, and like you guys said you were watching together. And person B just wants to go out for some grub. So let's say you find a restaurant or a place that has TV where they're playing the football game, that you can go and still enjoy a meal with person B as well. And then you tell person A and person B, hey guys, I have 1 hour. Would you meet me at this place, at let's say place X? Would you meet me at place X, and I will meet you guys both there? And this way you don't have to choose. So instead of having to choose between A and B, A or B, now you're experiencing AB or A plus B. So now you didn't have to sacrifice A for B or B for A, but you got to experience both, although you still did it within the same period of time, and you still got that quality time with both where you both got to do the same thing that you did. So this was because you found the common ground between these 2 possibilities. Now go back to this, go back to your world. So let's say there's possibility A, and in possibility A, you want to own a business. I think that was what we said. You want to own a business in A. And let's say in B, you want to make art, like you want to create, you want to put content out there, whatever it is that you want to do. So now you're like, man, like instead of looking at these 2 lines and being like, okay, I'm going to walk this path, I'm going to walk this path, what you need to do is you need to start looking at the space between. You need to look at this little area. And you're like, where can A and B be combined? Like, where can I do both? And then you start to stare, you're like, what if I'm in a business where I could promote my art? Or what if I'm in a business where I could like create content to promote my business and then use my business to promote whatever I'm doing with my art? So it's like, how, and then you start to think, what are ways that I can do this? Like, what are the ways that I can fund my art and make like a business through it or whatever? I don't know if that's making sense, but I hope it's coming through. So once you start to go like, oh, instead of feeling like I have to be like a business person or an artist, I could own a business for arts. So I'm the business person and the artist in this timeline versus having to choose A or B. You've now entered the space between it and you've combined these timelines, and now it's timeline A plus B. So now you've covered more ground, like you've covered more surface area of possibility just because you found the point where those two timelines can intersect and you can do both at the same time. Now I feel like forget that it's two possibilities and like combine it with as many things as you want to do. Find the point where all the things that you want to do, what is the one thing that they have in common? And a lot of times like we can look at things and feel like they're so different, but at the end of the day, every single thing has something in common. So it's like, let's say you want to start a family and you're like, okay, I want to be a business person for art and I want to start a family. So all you have to do is you'll have to sit there and be like, how can I create my schedule around my art business that allows me to incorporate quality time with my family? And or maybe I can create art with my family and it could still be going towards my business. Or maybe as a business person, I can decide that I'm going to work from home and I'm going to devote some of my time to my family. Then you're covering 3 possibilities. Now you're doing A plus B plus C just by finding the common points where you're able to do all things at once. So instead of kind of being like, oh, well, I have to do this at one time or that at one time or whatever, you kind of go like, no, I'm going to take the reins and I'm going to decide that like, I will create the timeline with a combination of everything that I want to do within it. And I do feel like as human beings, like we don't desire something unless there's the actual possibility of that thing coming to fruition. Like I don't think we desire to do something unless that possibility is already there, unless like that reality of all those things existing cohesively already exist. And I think because like society works in the way that it does, it convinces us that like things are limited, especially if we haven't seen what we want to create before us. But like I think in these moments it's so important to remember that everything that has ever been created has started from nowhere. Like everything that has ever been created has started from someone who everything that's ever been created has started from someone who was like once a toddler in diapers who like is also trying to figure out what their path is and then decided like, you know what, I'm gonna do things different and I'm gonna try this instead because I have this instinct. And it's like we start to, I think because sometimes we're afraid to follow our own jurisdiction, we start to follow other people's like paths, or like we tend to look at what they did and we start to do what they did. Well, I guess that we do it what they did if it calls to us. But do you know what I mean? Like a lot of times like it is easier for us to be a follower than to be a leader, and to be the person to be like, you know what, I'm gonna decide that my life is gonna look a little different, because it scares us. Like the idea that our lives are gonna look a bit different and we don't know for sure if it's gonna work, that really scares us. So a lot of times we just like settle and they go like, you know what, this, if I do it, I know it works, and I might not be my happiest self, but I'm gonna feel secure. But it's like as you start to do the thing that you actually feel pulled to and you find the way that for it to work, you also start to feel more secure in that possibility, and you also start to be the person who realizes that like everything is possible and you're the person who's going to create it. No one else is going to come in and create your ideal path for you. It's you. Like you're the person who's going to be like, you know what, I can look at the world and I can take the parts I like and I can find a way that I can combine all of these things to work for me on a single path. And that way you don't feel like you have to divide your attention, but you can focus on the one thing that you want to be doing. And the one thing that you want to be doing can be the thing that is serving all these possibilities for you at the same time. Then you start to feel clear. Then you don't feel like you're scattered. Like you don't feel like you're scattered having to decide between this or that, but like you're more so like, oh, like of course I'm doing both. I'm pulled to both because I'm meant to be doing both. Or like, and it doesn't even have to be both, because once you combine them, it's just the one thing that you're doing. And it's just almost just like changing your perspective on how you're looking at it and realizing I have the power to take away the division of this. Like I think that's what a lot of people, when they talk about like separation versus unity, I think a lot of people talk about it with people, which I also think applies, but I think it can apply to everything. I think that we are conditioned to look at things like there are distinct lines in between them, but there are actually no boundaries and there are no lines. Like, we are creating those lines in our minds, and we are creating those like distinctions that aren't really there. So we're looking at something that is whole and can be whole, and we're fracturing it, we're breaking it apart, because it's easier for our brain to compartmentalize things. But once you kind of break those compartments, you can realize that all of these things can coexist as one cohesive entity. And I think that gives you so much more power over being able to see those things clearly. So yeah, like, this is something I've been practicing. I've been trying to look at different things in my life and different things that I want in my life and different elements of my life, instead of being like, man, like, I have to choose this or I have to choose that, or like, what am I gonna do because I want to be this and I want to be that and I want to be that. I will actually sit there and just, like, even it means staring at, like, I will write it all down. It's easier for me to write it down. Like, I'll do A, B, C, D, E. I'll write what they are, and I'll literally just stare at it sometimes for like a half hour or like an hour, and like try to find, like, list all the things that I can think of in that moment that they have in common. And then I will try to like connect those lines. I'll try to connect those dots and be like, okay, A and B can be connected through this. And like, once you start to build a map like that and a network like that of all the different things that you could be doing, you start to figure out the spaces in between where those things can coexist. And it started to make me feel like a lot of the things that I thought was not possible, or that I had to feel like I had to choose from, are actually very realistic and very there for me to decide when I am ready, like when I want to take those steps. And yeah, so this was my way of trying to put it in a more like 2D or like visual lens, because sometimes I feel like having those diagrams and visuals helps me. So I hope it made things clearer, and I hope it connected to someone. So yeah, if you like this video, or if you connected with it, or if you feel like it helped you, feel free to click the like button. If you have anything to say, feel free to comment something. I would love to have a conversation. And subscribe if you feel like this is helpful and like you want to see more of it. So yeah, I'll see you guys.